break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. The image of my sweetheart's face, it fires the heart and sets the pace. Whatever the time, wherever the place, I'll find him through the depths of space. Singing, come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. Along to the top my bed, pleasant dreams inside my head. The pumping's all against death, I'll only sleep among the dead. Come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. My blood is pooling on the floor, and every second I lose more. But there's so many minutes in store, I'll do the work of 3 or 4. Singing, come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. The engine fumes will scorch your lungs. The smog is thick, your eyes are stung, but there's no clean air left to run. This pumping business ain't much fun. Singing, come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. The outer hull is shut to hell. The thrust has just one plasma cell. My joints and muscles ache and swell, so fuck the roads and you as well. Come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. A transport mission gonna ride, attacked by cold and left to fry. Is no excuse, boys, let us try. Today is not the day we die. Come me boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones. We're just a million miles from home. Break your bones, we're just a million miles from home. It's a pumpy boys, let her fly down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones, we're just a million miles from home.
Happy Tuesday! How we doing? Hi. We love it. We love a doing good. We love a doing good. Oh, I should have. This is what I need to open next, actually. If we're being honest with ourselves. Every day is a good day for space shanties. In my personal opinion. I may be biased, and that won't surprise anyone. Gestures at my entire surroundings. But in my personal opinion, we're in for a good time today, my dear friends. There's some fun times headed your way in this chapter. I just cannot wait. I am mostly vibing. Mostly. My physical existence, really wants me to have a bad time, but I am determined to not. I am determined to actually have a good time. And so we are here. And we persist. I'm gonna crunch my fingers a whole bunch. Well, seeing as we've got some fun times ahead of us, that if nothing else, I can't wait to shove in Wander's face. Because sibling treatment. Hi! Get perceived, idiot! We've got some fun times ahead. And I have said that 3 times now, and so I think we shall not hesitate any further. And I think we should just jump right into it, because I would really like... I want you to know, and the sooner I start, the sooner you can know. And that doesn't make the future days come any faster, but I think I need you to go eyes emoji, and you can't go eyes emoji if I wait to tell you what the eyes emoji is about. You know? So in that case, let's dive right in. Let's dive right into the deep end. So, yeah, let's just get started. I'll say that like 5 times and then, but before I actually even start. But yeah, let's go for it. We're going for it now. This is me going for it. Welcome, one and all, to the 6th installment. See, I didn't hesitate that time on the number of Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series. I'm so good at counting, you see. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Harper, but you can call me KK. My pronouns are they, it. If you're new, please read the chat rules, be chill, have a good time. What we're in for is this. Your Words Destroyed My Planet by Unda is a 1,000,000-word Homestuck fic that focuses on Dave Soulcat. It's an AU set in a future where Earth and Alternia have been consumed by a mysterious force, and humans and trolls have escaped on spaceships for their survival. As of now, it is currently unfinished, but we vibe. In this stream series, I aim to read the entire fic aloud, by myself, like a crazy person. Or like a really cool person. Depends on who you ask. Please take note of the tags on this fic, which we are looking at right now, and be aware that you may be in for the discussion of some sensitive topics. If you would like to read back what I just said, you can type !fic about in chat. And all my chat commands, that's the word. All my chat commands are also visible at the bottom of the screen, so you never forget what your options are. If you would like a link to the fic itself on AO3, you can use !fic link, and that will get you to chapter 1. !fic song is a brief explanation of a very special feature of these streams, which we're finally going to see. I told Wander this in advance, so... Well, I insinuated it rather bluntly. I snarled at them is what I did. We are finally going to have our very first pre-recorded song sequence today. The command fic song sadly cannot tell you which song is currently happening, but there's plenty of folks in chat right now who are familiar with the fic, and so if you have a questions, you can have an answers. You can. You can dream it. You can be it. You can do it. You can dream it again. What? And then !fic sorry is just a couple of disclaimers / apologies, because I'm not perfect, and I know this, and you will know this. You will notice it, and you will want to say something. You will want to say it so bad. And you will have to not. I already know. I already know that I'm not perfect. Okay? I know about it! Why did... How come whenever I fake cry, actual tears happen? Fuck. That never happens when I actually want to cry. Anyway. And finally, you can use exclamation point VODs to get a link to my YouTube archive, where I'll be putting every VOD for this series, as well as anything else I might do in the future. Right now, I only really have this planned, so it'll mostly be that. There's some old stuff there. But yeah, that is everything that I wanted to say in advance. So with all of that out of the way, I present to you Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 6. Dave, wake up. Jade shakes your shoulder and you mumble unhappily at her waking you up. Dave, Worky's asking me if I can come in after all. Darvik got sick and they really need the analysis for the... Jade starts. You roll face down on the pillow and make a noise of exhausted agreement, anything to stop her shaking you. Are you going to be okay getting to your appointment? Have you got an alarm set? Jade asks, poking you in the arm until you roll over. Yes, I'm fine, go. You whine into the pillow. The pillow understands you and your needs. You and the pillow have a good thing going. The bed creaks under you as Jade stands up and you go back to dozing, still half aware and tracking her around her hive as she gets ready for work as quickly as she can. Kibble clinks into Beck's bowl as she feeds him breakfast and he inhales it as fast as possible. Love you, bye, Jade whispers in a minty exhale and kisses your cheek. You mumble something to the same effect, but don't move. The door slides shut, and after a second or two, you lean up a little. Beck is breathing nearby on the floor by the side of the bed, and you only have to pat the sheets once for him to obediently leap up and press himself to your back. You smile and fall back to sleep once again. There's probably a word for what happens, where you know you have to be up for something and you've already been woken up, the result being that you don't get back into a proper sleep cycle, but just lightly sleep for a bit. When you wake up properly, you stretch lazily and reach over to scratch Beck's chest. He's still happily snoozing next to you with no worries at all. You reach for your watch on your left wrist and press the dial in. What's the time? You ask it. The time is 10:45 a.m., your watch answers you. Blech. Your appointment is at 13:30, which is close enough that you don't want to get involved in doing much else, but far away enough that you're going to be bored waiting for it. That's so real. Waiting mode is a real thing that will happen to you and everyone you love. You sigh and heave yourself upright. Beck, down, you tell him, and obediently he hops down off the bed. Carefully, you swing your legs over the side, not wanting to kick any wayward dogs who might be lingering nearby in the hopes of being allowed back on the bed. Beck has the good sense to be out of the way, and you're able to walk to the ablution block in peace. You know how many steps it is from anywhere to anywhere else. Old habits that you had as a kid just don't really go away. You get into the ablution block and sit down to pee, because first of all, you're blind and you don't feel like showing off to Beck. Secondly, you're not cleaning up after yourself if your aim isn't perfect. And third, you just woke up, so fuck any extra effort. When you're done, you wash and dry your hands and then grab for the toothbrushes in the cabinet. The one you have at Jade's is the same, but just a different color to hers, which doesn't help you now, but the fact that her toothbrush handle is still damp does. See, you're not helpless. Jade never thought you were before, but after you got your eyeballs all scooped out, she acts way more protective over you when they're out of commission. It makes you think that she didn't get just how bad your vision was beforehand. You could see light, shape, and color just fine, and reading wasn't a problem if the print was large enough or if it was close to you, but you were mostly really good at guessing a word by the shape instead of actually seeing it. Expressions were hard to read on people, so you're just really good at tone. Your hearing is damn good, and you pick up way more subtle troll sounds than most humans. You've got perfect pitch, your spatial awareness is fantastic, and you're fine, thank you. Stupid eyeballs, who needs them? Sure, without them in, you can't see shit as you're going about now, but there's more to seeing than just eyesight. Whatever, you have time to kill. May as well get brunch and a drink at the bar, get some music on, and then go see Equius. You dress and head on out with your hand on Beck's collar, not because you need the guide, but more to stop people walking into you or expecting you to move out of their way. You ride the train perfectly happily to the nearest intersection and then hop into an elevator. The buttons are all Braille, which is a little jarring for you at times. Trolls didn't have an equivalent to Braille in their society because they were very firmly in the fuck people with disabilities mindset. You're fine with the numbers, but whoever put the Braille on this ship did it in English, which is a language that you don't speak at all, and sometimes they put on backwards. No goddamn help. Thankfully, the Alternian number on the button is ever so slightly raised, so you know what one you want by that. Anyway, you hit the button for the engineering deck and wait patiently until the elevator announces where you are. If you really couldn't read the buttons at all, you could be an asshole and drag your hands down all of the buttons and force everyone in here to go to every floor with you as you stand there helplessly blind. Fuck, you should do that at some point when you're with Terezi. She'd get a kick out of that. Once you're out of the elevator, you find you're a little turned about, and it's only when Beck leads you past a repair shop that your mental map clicks in place, and you happily find out that you've been walking the right way anyway. Score 1 for you. The Wild Rover is a nice enough bar, and as you and Beck head through the doorway, the barman calls out to you with a friendly hello. You wave back and keep heading towards the back. You can hear around you the chatter of regular sailors and engineers. All sorts of working people just enjoying a drink after their shift, and you can even smell a good amount of coffee, too. Hey, Dave, Chahat greets you, and you hear her get up off her chair to let you through the back and into Tortuga. Hey, Chahat, how's it been? You ask as you pause in the somewhat hidden doorway. Not bad, not bad. Are you gonna play? She asks curiously. We'll see, you shrug. You might, she laughs and claps you on the shoulder. You slip in through the doorway with Beck at your side, and the moment you're in Tortuga, a wave of people call out your name, and you can feel a thrum of appreciation for you being here. You grin at the room in general and let the sound of the currently playing music get into your soul a little. The path to the bar is easy, especially because if someone was in your way, they'd definitely move out of it quick as anything. Hey, can I get a coffee and something fried? Not stressed about what exactly, you ask, resting your forearm on the slightly sticky wooden bar top. Yeah, of course you can. I'll bring it over. You want that coffee Irished? The bartender asks. You know what? Fuck it. The guy's gonna have his fingers in my eye sockets soon, so anything to take the edge off. You laugh. Can do, the bartender says agreeably. Dave, come play! Someone calls from the stage. You're pretty sure that was a Revy. Before you can answer, they start up in a song that immediately brings a smile to your lips.
I wish I was the banjo man, a motor man, a whore. Sun's gone away, a motor man, a whore.
They sing as the banjo plays along melodically. Ah, fuck it. You don't have your instruments with you, but Tortuga has its own, and you're happy to pick them up. You follow the singing towards the stage, with Beck leading you a winding path between tables.
Sun's gone away, a motor man, a whore.
The group sings, and now the next instrument picks up, a mandolin.
Sun's gone away, a motor man, a whore.
They sing on. You feel for the instrument you're looking for as the song goes on, and you find it, the familiar curves of the violin case calling to you, so you get it free and pluck the instrument from its carefully molded confines. You find a seat and just get into singing and playing as the next spot opens up.
I wish I was the fiddler, a motor man, a war. Sun's gone away, a motor man, a war. I wish I was the fiddler, a motor man, a war. Sun's gone away, a motor man, a war.
You sing and join in the right places for all the people who join after you. As you sing and play, the room reverberates around you, and you can feel and sense every wall and each person in their place as they move about. Like you said, there's more to seeing than just seeing. Of course, you couldn't just join for one song, the others want you for more, and honestly, you could do with grounding yourself properly before your appointment later. Given the violin in your hands, you already know what it is that you need to play, what needs to echo into the darkness that you're in. Is Johnny here? You ask the drummer near you. You're not loud about it, but apparently he and his favored band are about, and more than happy to scramble onto the stage with you. You don't need to tell them what to play, because as you start to pull each note from your loaned violin, they follow right along with you.
The room comes into a focus around you, not any way of seeing that you ever could or would explain to anyone else. Nothing that shows on any eye test, but you see beyond yourself. The mark of every person in the room as they move, play, sing, or just watch you all. At your side, the words begin, and they help, but you don't need them personally. You could do this alone. It's better not to, though, isn't it?
Why's a man that I was spoken? Life and heart is all a joke. He was not a roll, this was both my minds before we chose.
You lead them, and the band all sings together, voices in the audience even joining in, lighting them up in another shade of darkness in your mind's eye. You reach out further, beyond this bar and the one that covers it from the outside. Your bow moves on strings and does so much more. You pick up the speed ever so slightly, just enough that the drummer has to catch himself to keep in time with you, but it's fine. The ship about you hums, filled with life and light and so much else.
Lights up my bed, pleasant dreams inside my head, but pumpkin's all against death. I'll only sleep among the
You
dead.
look through the ship, and an old shadow flickers through your awareness behind you, stretching out invisibly in the dark. Distantly across the ship, familiar darkness hulks its way underfoot across the
My
floor.
heart is pulling on the floor, and every second I lose more. But there's so many beds in store, I'll do the work of 3 or 4.
You can picture it, your ship soaring through space, heading towards the next planet, to Somnos, and then eventually onto another and another, always going forward.
The engine fumes will scorch your lungs. The smog is thick, your eyes are stung, but there's no clean air left to run. This pumping business ain't much fun.
The dark of space presses in around you in the impossible bubble of life and light going through it, a statistical error in an otherwise almost completely empty universe. If you averaged out every square meter of space in the universe, then the ship is a complete fluke, and yet, here you are. It's not just the band singing now, everyone in the room is, because, of course, they know all the words. Maybe a few of the newer ones to Tortuga don't yet, but this is how they learn. Better to pick it up now than later, isn't it?
Attacked by cold and left to fry is no excuse, boys, let us try.
Today is not the day we die. Pump me, boys, let her fly. Down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones with just a million miles.
You turn your focus from the ship and its destination ahead to the path you've come from, to what's behind you. You look and see the darkness, and thankfully the band picks up on your quickening pace and announces the tempo change. You play faster and faster as they sing faster still. You stare blinded into the darkness behind the ship, to the things that chase you in the darkness and the encroaching end.
1, 2, 3, 4. Sing pump me, boys, let her fly. Down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones with just a million miles. Oh, it's a pump me, boys, let her fly. Down to hell and up to the sky. Bend your backs and break your bones with just a million miles. Oh.
You pull the last note out and hear it bounce around the room. Everything's fine. You're all good. You flash the band a grateful smile, and your ears prick up at the sound of the barman approaching you to your right with your drinks and food. And that, my friends, is the transition back from a song sequence. How was it? Oh, hey, thanks. You thank him and sit down. Go on with what you want. I'll jump in and out. It's cool. You assure the band and pick up your coffee. They launch into another song as you sip the hot coffee through the thick cream on top of your drink, all while the whiskey in it warms your throat. The food is good, and once you're done eating, you do play a few songs, just for fun, with whoever else feels like taking the stage, even trading your borrowed violin for a borrowed guitar at one point. You're not as good with the guitar, but you're still good, and you should really practice more at home. Unfortunately, it's not all that long until your watch buzzes with your alarm, and you have to finish up the song you're on and go. After you set the guitar down, you tap the alarm off on your watch. Just doing that reminds you that you should update the status feed since you're here. You sit down at the bar for just a moment, your head resting in your palm with your ear close enough to your watch that you can hear it as it reads out the things that your thumb hovers over. You know where Trollian is without it needing it to tell you, but you slowly hover your thumb over the chat list on the left to find what you're looking for. Strider Game Night. That's tonight, and since it's at the top of the chat, you can only assume there's shit being talked about who's going to win. At least, you, Rose, and Hal are a united front on inviting Solix. It's not fair to host it at your place and exclude him. Strylux Hive group chat. Nope. Alpha Crew. Also no. Movie night, bitches. Shit, when is June's next movie night? Check and balance. Ah, there you go. Leica, checked. Megalodon, balanced. There you go. That's your job done. Come on, Beck, let's go, you tell him, and reach a hand out. Beck's wet nose bumps your fingers. You stand from your seat and trail your fingers down to Beck's collar, with a wave goodbye to the bar in general and leave with a chorus of goodbyes. You know the way to Equius's lab enough that you don't have to consult any signs on the way and rely on their dubious braille translation. A short stretch of transportation and a casual walk later, you're inside the offices of the Bionic Enhancement Department. Most people here are in need of things like valves for their blood pushers or the occasional prosthetic hand or leg. Eyeballs are a cool and rare thing, which on the one hand can get a little annoying when people stare, but on the other hand it means you always get Equius's full attention at your checkups. Dave, could you come with me, please? Equius's voice comes from the far side of the room, jolting you from the absent patterns you'd been stroking into the soft fur behind Beck's ears. Sure, yeah. You nod and get up. Beck's head bumps into your palm as you walk towards Equius's voice. Just through here. The sensor's a little broken at the moment, so I'll hold it so it doesn't shut on you. Equius apologizes as you slip past him through the doorway. Always appreciate not being sliced in half by a door. Beck, sit, you say, and motion for Beck to sit down by the wall. You can't have him in the way when Equius is going to be moving around and working on you. You reach for the tipped-back examination chair in the room. It always puts you in mind of going to the dentist, with the wiped-clean, sticky plastic surface and the way it's reclined backwards. After a second, you hear Equius give up with the door, which of course closes perfectly smoothly by the sounds of it, right as he's turned his back on it. He pulls his squeaky wheeled chair over to you, and the synthetic leather wheezes slightly as he sits on it. So, the modifications went perfectly well. You should be able to handle the extreme temperatures better on your next mission, and deal with contrast in bright snow. Equius tells you to the background creak and snap of him putting latex gloves on. Awesome. Wear and tear all good? Not that tear is a word I like when talking about eyes, and wow, I just gross myself out. You cringe a little as the words tumble out, but you catch the soft huff of Equius's quiet laugh anyway. All perfectly within expected parameters. I'm going to have to alter the fluid for your tear ducts to deal with the climate, like I said, but I'll numb you and you won't feel a thing. I do feel the need to warn you that it does have a slight black tinge to it. Not that this is a concern with your eye design, but if you were to cry, it might be a little alarming. Equius warns you. What I'm getting is that I should tell no one and then look amazingly heavy metal on the very rare occasion that I cry. Amazing. I should get Carcat to host a romance movie night and then freak the fuck out of everyone there. Maybe I could pretend to be possessed. You grin. Language, and I do not condone this choice. Equius reprimands you as he opens something. You don't know what, but you hear the latch flick open. But, thanks to doctor-patient confidentiality, you can't warn anyone, you say brightly, and Equius's deep sigh tells you that you are completely right on that. Excellent. All right, I have the shot here. If you wanted to listen to music instead of paying attention to this, then you're welcome. Just give me a thumbs up when I tap your shoulder and you can't feel me touching your cheek. Equius warns you. It's not your first rodeo, so you just nod and put your headphones in and let the guy do his work. You're not a squeamish guy. Your upbringing pretty much made sure of that. Not to mention that in your job you've had to be medically trained, and that requires a decently strong stomach. All the same, there's a certain amount of... Yeah, when it's your own face, you'd rather not pay more attention to someone working than you have to. Eventually, Equius does need your input and squeezes your shoulder in the agreed-upon way to bring you back into focus. I can't feel my nose and my lips feel weird, you tell him. Your tongue feels fine, though? He checks. You run your tongue against your teeth and nod. Good. I wouldn't want you to hurt yourself. Usual calibration, if you please. Vertical axis, please. Up to 12. Yes, good. Down to 6. Good. Across to 9, and yes, over to 3. Equius instructs you. Equius flickers into focus at once, leaving you blinking away the sudden shock of vision. Got it, you tell him. Excellent. How does the focus look? Change from my finger to the far wall? Equius instructs you, holding his finger near the tip of your nose. You focus on it, seeing the haze of his finger through the thin latex. Shifting your gaze, everything in the distance immediately sharpens into perfect focus. All good, you say. Equius leans in with his little medical device. You're not sure what it's called. He takes a good look into your eyes and gets you to do a certain amount of looking in every direction. When he's done, he leans back in his chair and presses the intercom button. Dr. Mitson, could you open your door for just a moment? He asks as he presses the button to open his door too. Right now? Sure, the crackly voice down the line says. The hospital section that you're in is set out in a sort of hoofbeast shape, and from Equius's open door you can see the other wing on the other side of the building section. Your focus sharpens as a door across that side opens. Could you read the bottom line for me, Dave? Equius asks, his finger still on the intercom button. You focus, the distant office sharpening so much you could be standing in the room. P, E, Z, O, L, C, F, T, D. You read the letters out. God damn, the doc terrorist down the line mutters. Thank you, Mitson. Equius takes his finger off of the button and shuts his door again. No problems focusing back to this room? Equius checks. Nope, everything's perfect. You nod. Wonderful. Same advice as usual. Don't put anything in your eyes. Do not attempt to put any makeup or anything of the sort on your eyes until the feeling comes back. Just don't be foolish. You're cleared for duty any time past 1600, but I know that Nepeta doesn't have you working until tomorrow. Equius says casually. He knows that you're not an idiot with your eyes, but he has to give the warnings all the same. Good to know. Thanks again, you say gratefully and hop to your feet. Beck gets up eagerly, his tail wagging to see you moving about again. You give Equius a lazy and entirely unneeded salute, and he waves you goodbye with the appropriate paperwork appended to your file. You take Beck to the park and throw a stick for him to fetch for a while. You can tell when he starts to get bored with the game when each time you throw the stick, he brings back a different stick and then starts finding bigger and bigger ones just to see what he can get away with. Beck is far too clever for his own good. You drop your beloved dog back to the captain's room, since he spends most of his time with her these days, and after that, you head back to your hive. When you slip into your hive, you pause at the doorway. Solix is floating your lounge plank off of the floor, but his attention is on Hal's open respite block door. Solix's attention is entirely on Hal's laughter, so much so that it's only when Hal steps back into the main room that either of them notices you, and it's Hal who spots you first. Hey, you're back, Hal beams. Fuck, I always forget how quiet you are, Solix says with a jump as he realizes that you're there at all. Ninja skills, you and Hal say at the exact same time, in the exact same tone. Solix gives you both a weird look and shakes his head. Where do you want this? Not that I mind levitating your furniture for ages, but you probably had somewhere in mind, Solix asks Hal, gesturing to the aforementioned floating furniture. Just over there against the wall. I need to get the chairs out, Hal answers. Hal moves to press a panel on the wall, which pops open to reveal the folding chairs neatly stowed inside. Without needing to be asked, you take the ones that Hal hands you and start unfolding them and tossing them roughly in the direction of where they need to be. Is this place going to be big enough for your whole family to do a game night? Solix asks as he eyes up the chair assembly line that you and Hal have going. It's not the whole family. Dad, Jane, and June aren't supposed to come, and we don't break partners. Dad was very insistent that when we got here, we had a Strider-only family tradition, so it became this, Hal explains. Dad was so sweet to you back then. He still is, but you just weren't used to it as a kid. He didn't want you to lose the identity of the family you were, even as you became part of his family. He always tried to preserve your cultural identity as well as sharing his own with you. He focused on the food and the music. Shit, he learned Spanish for the wedding, and even thinking about that puts you at risk of testing Equius's warning about the change of color in your tears. Wait, if it's Striders only, then why am I in this? Solix asks in alarm. We're not making you stay out of a game night happening in the hive you live in, you tell him. I can just stay in my block. It's not a big deal. I don't want to intrude, Solix says hastily. Too bad. We've invited you. Also, the question was brought before the Strider Council, and we all voted that you're going to play. If you wanted to vote, you should have thought of that before not being a Strider. Really, this is on you, Hal tells him primly. Dirk has been told to not be a dick, you add helpfully. Solix looks at you and then Hal suspiciously. Does that work? He asks. Oh, no, you say flatly. Not even once has that ever worked. Hal nods. Why did I ever agree to live here? Solix wonders. Hal doesn't seem to have an answer to that, but he does have a folded-up chair, so he gives Solix that. Hey, it's something, right? We're probably gonna play card games, just normal shit, like poker and whatever. Maybe cheat, Hal says as he pulls the game table out of a different cupboard set into the wall. Aw, man, I hate cheat. I almost never win, you complain. Because you're a shit liar, Hal retorts with a laugh. I don't know cheat. What's cheat? Solix asks curiously as he helps Hal set the table out and unfold it properly. So, you get 2 decks of cards since it's going to be the 6 of us. You deal all the cards out to everyone equally, so then the first player can put down a number of cards between 1 and 4, but you have to play something. You put them face down and say what it is, like 3 3s or something. Then if Dave was next, he'd have to put down either 2s, 3s, or 4s down. Hal explains. The thing is, you can lie about what you put down, so if there's only 8 4s in 2 decks and I've got 5 and you say you're putting 4 down, I know you're lying. So then someone calls you on your shit, your cards are turned over, and if you lied, then you pick them all up. You go until someone, usually Rose, is all out of cards. You finish explaining. Rose just sapped all your card skills from you in the womb, huh? Hal teases. That's definitely how that works with human pregnancies, you say flatly. Makes sense. Weird mammal reproduction, I buy that. Solix nods. I bet you thought you'd get less shit in this hive with Rose moving out, Hal says slyly. You didn't actually expect that. You agreed to this for reasons entirely unrelated to how much Rose gets your metaphorical goat. Would it be a nice perk to not always be mocked in your own home? Perhaps, but you've never experienced that, so how the hell would you know? I can't believe you'd betray me like this, man, you say to Solix instead of any of that. You will also be feeling complete defeat as well as betrayal. Card games aren't my normal kind of game, but I'm the best there is at games. I'm sure Hal can tell you all about that, Solix says with a mean smile. I regret ever being friends with you, Hal says flatly and walks back to his room to get snacks that you suppose he brought earlier. Dave, have you heard about the time I absolutely destroyed him in Mortal Kombat? Solix asked innocently. Hal glares daggers at him over an armful of drink bottles, and you smell blood in the water. Gosh, you know, it's the strangest thing. I absolutely have not. You definitely need to tell me in detail right now, you say, as earnestly as you can possibly manage to. Hal's frustrated scream delights you, and you absolutely don't bring it up when the rest of your siblings arrive for game night. Surely not. No, never. As everyone gets settled, they all ask for their drinks, and Solix helps Hal with them as you go get the cards from Hal's room. As you're sliding them out of the pack, you just catch Solix's quiet conversation with Hal, that good hearing of yours helping you out again. So, none of you drink, like, ever? Solix asks in a whisper. No, none of us. Our mom had a real problem with alcohol, and out of all of us, only Roxy tried booze, and it started to be a real problem for her. She stopped before it got anywhere really bad, and me and Dirk agreed we never would, and the twins followed suit. Aside from Roxy, none of us have ever had any alcohol ever, Hal says back quietly. It's not a problem, I just don't want to, Solix mutters. You step out of Hal's room with the cards in your hand, acting like you never heard a thing. Hal was saying about cheat, and Solix never played, so we're doing that, and I'm shuffling because you guys aren't trustworthy, you inform your siblings that already sat at the table. I can't believe you'd say that, Dirk says flatly. I've never been more offended in my life, Rose agrees, just as emotionless. You're just talking shit because we're going to destroy you, Roxy grins. Oh yeah? You say back as you shuffle. Yeah, Roxy nods. Oh yeah? You say again. This goes on long enough for drinks to be dispensed to each person and for Hal and Solix to have sat down. Yeah! Roxy says loudly. Oh yeah? You demand back. Shut your face hole and deal, Solix insists from his place at your immediate left. Since you asked so nicely, you say, and start flicking cards across the table. It doesn't take long at all for you to get the 2 decks divvied out between everyone, and when you deal the last card out, you gesture for Solix to start since he was so impatient. Naturally, everyone has to sort their cards out, except for Roxy, who refuses to ever do that for maximum chaos. You sort yours by suit, so it's orderly to you but confusing for everyone else. A middle ground in the extremes. I do not have enough hands for this. 3 jacks? I'm right in guessing that aces loop everything, right? Solix asks Hal as he sets 3 cards down. Cheat, Dirk says before Solix even takes his hands off the cards. He only just beats Rose to calling it. Wow, it's the guy's first time and you two can't even be gentle, you tut. Definitely Dirk first, though, Roxy nods. I'm the only person who's played. You've no way of knowing anything, Solix protests. Yes, but if you were to cheat, this is a relatively risk-free time to try. You also covered up your play by asking a question on game mechanics, Rose adds. You gotta turn your cards over, you tell Solix. Solix looks annoyed, but flips his hand over to show a random spread of 3 cards, and not one of them is a jack. My turn, Hal says as Solix shuffles his cards back into his hand. 2 aces, Hal says, setting them down. 3 aces, Dirk follows. Thanks, just make this super hard if anyone wants to go back around again. Cool. Jeez, okay. 3 2s, we'll go low, Roxy says and puts her cards on the pile. 1 ace. How's married life treating you then, Dirk? Rose asks. How's that not suspicious? If me talking was enough to get people to call me a cheat, why not Rose? Solix asks. You're welcome to call it, you say lightly as you shift through your cards. Your fingers graze over a king and an ace, but instead you move to pick a 3 up. If you're gonna call, you have to do it before Dave puts a card down. And it's fine. Having a wedding doesn't technically change anything, Dirk answers. Are you gonna? You check with Solix. Solix stares Rose down, but crumbles and shakes his head in resignation. Alright, 1 king, you say, and set your 3 face down on the pile. Cheat, Rose says, before your fingers even lose your card. You shouldn't be allowed to play this game. It's not fair, you protest, and flip the card over to show that you were, in fact, lying. How did you know? Solix asks as you scoop the other cards up. Barely any of them are what they're supposed to be. He was hedging too much, trying to get you to call Rose, but because he didn't have the card, Hal says all smugly. I blame the dealer, you say wisely, and slot the cards into your hand in the right place. Right, so I can start anywhere now? Solix checks and ends up playing 3 7s, and so the game goes on. So, Solix, how are you finding living with my brothers? Rose asks. It's fine. Never really had hive mates before, so it's kind of weird, but it's kind of nice being able to play games in person with Hal. Solix answers as Hal states his cards and sets them down. And me, you add. He's just not that into you, Dave, Hal says with a mean little smile. No, that wasn't what I meant. You two are never gonna let this go, are you? Solix groans, putting his face in his hands and pushing his glasses into his hair in the process. Every day my heart shatters anew, you sniff. 3 9s. What's this? Tell me. I have to know, Dirk asks. When Dave was moving Solix in, Solix told him that they weren't friends, Hal says wickedly. The tears just won't stop, you sniff. Poor baby. 4 10s, Roxy says, playing her cards. Cheat, you say, just before Dirk gets there. Roxy curses and picks up the cards. Look, no, it wasn't like that. I was just... Me and Hal are friends. We'd hung out together before all of this a bunch of times. I was willing to do him that stupid favor, but it's like... I meant the difference between being actively friends and just part of the same friend group, Solix insists. Like you and me, Rose says. Yes, exactly, Solix says in relief. Rose presses a hand to her chest and sucks in a trembling breath. Her eyes flood with unshed tears as she looks at him. You mean we're not friends? Rose whimpers. Solix expression is somewhere between horror and rage all at once. Oh my god, your fucking face! Roxy wheezes, banging her fist on the table. Rose, that was unsporting. Holy shit, I'm actually kind of upset that I don't live here to watch this on a daily basis, Dirk says with a shake of his head. I'll start a newsletter, Hal assures him with a reassuring pat on his shoulder. I officially hate all Striders. You all suck, Solix hisses. Nah, you love us. Rose, play already, you say, and pat Solix reassuringly on the back. Teasing Solix is one thing, but you don't actually want to upset him. He elbows you in the side, but his expression has shifted to something more like fond exasperation. Rose states her cards, and with a moment's thought, you do the same. Oh, guess what? Dave showed Solix Mad Snacksio, Hal says proudly. Solix reads out his cards as Dirk stares at him. Rose and Roxy are both rolling their eyes, but you're delighted for what's to come. What did you think? Dirk asks slowly. Solix shoots you a look, but you don't know if your expression of anticipation is helpful. That I have no idea how anyone made a game that bad. It's like it's a kind of inverse skill. A bad game just won't run, but this runs so fantastically terribly that it's a whole new thing. It's a horrible eldritch art. I'm amazed. It's great, Solix tells him honestly. I blame you for this, Hal adds helpfully. Don't care. I'm calling it. I like this one. We're keeping him. Dirk nods. Thanks, Solix says slowly and uncertainly. Oh boy. 2 9s, Hal says. Cheat, Solix says instantly. Fuck you too, Hal grumbles as he scrapes the cards toward himself. It's really nice to see Solix starting to relax into things with your family. You know you can be a lot. You also hope it's something of a distraction from Aradia. Wait, no, I can count to 8, Dave. No way you're putting 2 6s down. There should only be 1 left. Cheat, Roxy accuses you later. We're assuming Rose wasn't cheating? Solix snorts. If you're so sure about that, why didn't you call me on it? Rose asks sweetly. That's what she wants you to do, Dirk advises. The point is, 2 6s. Eat it. You grin at Roxy as you flip your cards over. So your strategy is to play as truthfully as possible to make other people pick up, Solix says thoughtfully as he looks at you over his shrinking hand of cards. I'm not as good of a liar as some people at this table. It's the only choice I have, you smile. Your palm husk chimes loudly, startling you and Solix both. Hey, no calls, Hal protests. It's emergency services. I don't know why they call me. Keep playing, you say distractedly and answer the call. Strider, you answer. Dave, it's Cuprum. Vicari's outside the ship doing maintenance, and I had to patch in because there was tech weirdness, but he's talking weird. It might be nothing, but after everything you said, and he's near your hive section of the ship, Cuprum says uneasily. He's outside right now? You ask as a sinking feeling starts to take hold of you. Yeah, at the arrays, Cuprum confirms. I'm on my way to the airlock. Patch me in, you tell Cuprum as you quickly get up from the table. The others are asking you what's wrong as you hurry out of the front door. Patching, Cuprum says, and the call beeps for a moment or two as you run down the corridor. Officer Retite, are you there? You ask sharply. You shoulder through a doorway and hear the faint exhale in your ear. Vicari! You snap. Dave? Vicari asks, his voice hazy. Yes, Vicari, I need you to tell me where you are right now and what you're doing, you insist as you hurry down 2 flights of stairs and sprint for the airlock down the hall. I was just mending the array. It's nothing, but have you seen the stars tonight? Vicari breathes. No. Which array? I need the serial number on that. Read that to me, you tell him. Not that you need it at all, but you need him to look at something close by. You burst into the airlock antechamber and kick your shoes off. You snag a suit of your size from the locker and scramble into it, all while your palm husk on speaker plays you Vicari's distant voice. The array? He asks. Yes, the array you were working on. It has a number and I need it, you insist, smoothing the seal up your chest. You tap the palm husk to your chest and everything immediately sinks. You jam the helmet on your head, twist and seal it. It's almost certainly in the logs. You can look that sort of thing up. Oh, Vicari says dreamily. You snap one glove on, then another, twist and lock the helmet on, pressurize the suit. Pressure stable. Vicari, I'm coming out there and you can show me in person. You tell him as you dash into the door lock. The door slams shut behind you and the airlock depressurizes for a moment and the external doors open. The great yawning expanse of the universe opens up before you, but you ignore it. Instead, you grab hold of the edge of the airlock and swing yourself out. Show you. Yes, there's so much I can show you. The endless possibility of the great wide yonder. I can see... Vicari breathes. Vicari, I am ordering you to turn around and come back to the airlock this instant. You bark out the order. You're not officially that much higher than him, but you outrank him in other ways. No, you don't understand, Vicari protests. You kick and pull your way along the outside of the ship as fast as you can. You can go faster this way than with the propulsion system set into your suit, and fast is what you want. It's beautiful out here, he says dreamily, and your eyes sharpen on the distant figure of Vicari as he untethers himself from the ship. You're not tethered, but you know what the fuck you're doing. Vicari, tether back on immediately, you shout. Vicari twists, turning slowly in the vacuum of space, and the shining of light off of his helmet is pure reflected white. His suit is shining like a lens flare, and no matter how much your eyes are set up to deal with brightness at low contrast, he's barely more than a cutout figure, as if reality was a screen held up between you and the brightest possible light, and someone had made Vicari out of pinpricks poked through it. You shout his name again, flashing as fast as you can through the dark to cut the time down to him, but it's no use. His hands reach up to his helmet. I can see it all, he breathes softly. His hands jerk, and Vicari's helmet comes free. The sudden loss of pressure and his suit's desperate attempts to pressurize the rest of the universe launches Vicari backwards, slamming his body through the array he'd been repairing and then bouncing out into open space. You shout back to control what's happening and what you're doing, but it's all autopilot. Instead, you focus on launching yourself off of the ship and into space after him. You correct your velocity and trajectory with your suit's own propulsion, but there's only so much you can do. What happens to the body when it's suddenly exposed to the vastness of space in a zero-pressure environment is both something that TV and movies used to think about, but it's something that you've seen firsthand twice now. Liquid boils at zero pressure, the air is ripped from your lungs, and Your suit has a secondary breathing mask to assist in the event of a disaster. The idea is you'd be able to plug it over someone's helmet and repressurize them as you wait for an assist. It does nothing for the rest of Vicari, exposed as he is to the vacuum of space. You press the mask to his face, hoping to force air into his lungs, but you don't have any hope of it helping. At the proximity to his suit, you can see his vitals and across the board flat line of his vitals. He can't hear you, even if you were anywhere near his helmet to put it back on him. All the air in his inner ear is blown out. Also, he's dead. Still, you let your suit's propulsion carry you back to the ship as you hold the supplementary mask to Vicari's face and stare into his all-white eyes and quietly sing to him. For him. Your suit is bleeding oxygen, and you can hear that the rest of the emergency team is rushing to you, but you don't take your eyes off the body. Instead, you sing of waves and the journey as Vicari's clumsy, directionless hands bump against your own helmet. The emergency crew pull you both to the raft and start trying to revive him, for all the good it'll do. Another shuts down your supplementary line, and when you're up through the airlock and onto the emergency track to the hospital, they take your suit off of you and check you over as well. Your palm husk transferred display shows on the shed suit front that pulls at your hips, and you open the channel you need. Unbalanced. Was that you? Balancing now. Hold for update. The dock terrorists check you over. You're fine. If you'd kept your mask on Vicari for another half hour, you'd have had a real problem, but you're fine, just a little shaken up. As per protocol, you have to sit there with Nepeta to write an incident report and some random head shrinker to listen in and then assess you. From the beginning, please, if you please. Take your time, the shrink says gently. You turn your focus to Nepeta. Kuprum called me saying that Vicari was out there and he was sounding strange. Not enough to warrant calling the EMS for. There weren't any tech problems with his suit as far as Kuprum told me. I live near the airlock that Vicari was near, so I agreed to go out there and see. Vicari seemed disoriented and confused, and I tried to get him to focus on the ship and wait for me to get there. I can only assume there was a leak in his suit somewhere. Either he was getting poisoned with his old air, or the suit had a slow leak in it that the O2 system wasn't covering. I don't know. I got inside of him and his helmet came off. The force of the decompression threw him around. I made intercept, but his suit already read that he was dead. I kept air on him anyway, but he was DOA when we got him aboard. You say, simply.
That's terribly traumatic, Dave,
the head shrinker says with faux sympathy. I've seen it before. I know I did everything that I could. It all happened so fast. I just feel bad for Vicari, you answer, balancing honesty with simplicity.
It wasn't your fault,
Nepeta says gently. I know, you state, as you meet her gaze. It wasn't your fault.
This must be especially troubling for you, though, Dave. I know that sailors are often aware of the risks of the job, but death by decompression seems like it would be a personal sore spot with your father.
The shrink pronounces the word a little oddly, like the concept of a father is unfamiliar to her. It was to you, too, as well. It was to you as well, for a while. This isn't anything like that. Vicari's death was a mistake. It's not the same. You can ask my regular doctorist about it. I'm all fine with that. This isn't bringing up anything. I don't see it as the same at all. You tell her quite simply. The scrape of Bro's boots on the rigid edge of the airlock, the hiss of the ceiling door, his shape, blurry but there. I feel terrible that this happened to Vicari. He was a good person, but accidents happen. I'm probably going to check my gear a lot more carefully for a while and maybe have a few bad dreams, but an accident is way different from an execution. But I take your point. I'll bring it up with my regular therapist when I see him. I'm sure he'll want to clear me in a good time before the next mission. You smile like you're trying to look on the bright side.
Well, all the same, I'll be writing a recommendation that you have a few days off at least, and I'll forward all this information on to your regular practitioner.
The doctoress nods slowly. You falter long enough to waver slightly and then nod with your eyes downcast. Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it. I'll be fine. Wish I could say the same for him.
The doctoress stands and sets a hand on your shoulder. It wasn't your fault, she says, her blue blood eyes all compassionate and genuine.
You nod, small but there, and give a small, forced-looking smile. The doctoress bids her goodbyes to you and Nepeta both. You wait for a few moments until you see her leave through a distant door and let your soldiering on bravely through it expression drop. It's not my fault, you say coldly to Nepeta.
What really happened? Nepeta asks quietly.
He pulled his fucking helmet off somehow and kept clawing at me after. I told you that he wasn't safe. I told you not to take him out of the ship and you let him stay cleared for external work. I fucking warned you and now tomorrow we're gonna have to bury him. What are we gonna do for Somnos now? You demand angrily.
I know,
Nepeta falters and looks down at her hands. You need to talk to Aradia. Jade's trying to talk her around, but you start.
I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. I still outrank you. I had other concerns, and I didn't see that this was going to be as big of a risk as it turned out to be, but you don't know everything.
Nepeta tells you, her voice firm.
Yahoo!
Oh, God. Thanks for the follow, Emma. At least you caught me at the end of a sentence. Jesus. Fuck. Okay. That startled me a little. It wasn't ever going to not. I don't think I need to adjust anything there. Oh, Jesus. Am I dismissed? You ask her, your voice stiff.
Dismissed, Strider. I'll send you the details of the funeral.
Nepeta says quietly. You turn and march right out of there without so much as looking back for a second. The journey back to your hive is done more or less on autopilot as you strive very diligently to think of nothing at all. You walk back through the door and it's Solix who gets to his feet first, but your siblings are right after.
We've been trying to get in touch with you. You didn't answer our messages.
Roxy says, sharply, panic and concern heavy in her tone. Oh, right. You synced your palm husk to your suit, but left the actual device in the airlock antechamber. You didn't pick it back up when you went past with Vicari's body on the stretcher. Sorry, I left it behind. You apologize. Who died? I heard someone die real close, and they thought about you. Solix asks. What? You blurt out as you stare at him. Solix has psionics. One of them is hearing people's thoughts just before they die. He has to be kind of close to do it, but... Didn't you know about that? Hal asks. You shake your head. This is a bad time to joke about not knowing enough about Solix because you're not friends. It was, Vicari was out there and acting weird, so I got a call, went to go check on him. I tried to get there as fast as I could, but... You falter. Vicari's hands on his helmet, turning. It was no accident. His helmet came off. He died. You explain. You saw... Oh. Rose's expression goes distant and shuts down, no doubt remembering the last time you both saw your father. It's probably worse for her. She saw every detail from where the two of you were hiding. You don't talk about it. What? But helmets can't come off outside the ship. They have to pass through an airlock to have unlocking as an option at all. It's a safety feature, Dirk insists.
Must have been a malfunction, especially if he was already acting loopy. It could have been affecting his O2 as well. Jesus, Dave, I'm so sorry.
Roxy whispers that last part. Rose shakes her head and seems to come back to herself. She draws a deep breath in and crosses the distance to hug you tightly.
It's not your fault,
she says gently. I know, you agree sadly. You wish dearly that you could have done more, but you did all you could. From the time you were alerted to the problem, it was already too late. It was just that neither of you knew that then. You shudder a little and pull back from Rose. I think I'm gonna get my palm husk and stay with Jade. I just want to not think, you know? You say quietly to her.
I understand that. Call me if you need me,
Rose says gently and squeezes your hand, the last point of contact between you two. You let her go and wander mindlessly out of your hive, retracing your steps to the airlock. There's an incident team there. There always is if someone dies unexpectedly. On a ship like this, you have to be aware of equipment malfunctions or disease outbreaks. You have to get on things fast. They're not equipped for what really happened, but they don't know that. I left my palm husk. Can I... You say and point at it. One of the staff jolts, recognizing you and spotting your ID hanging around your neck. They give you your palm husk back and you leave. You glance down at Trollian real quick. Your last channel is still open. Oh, that's right. I have to scroll a little bit for, because I have the width of the text adjusted. Oops. Leica offline, I guess? I got it.
We're fine. I have no idea what Nepeta is going to say about this. I should have seen this sooner. I was out and distracted.
Can't be undone. We just got a deal.
Oops. Hey! Excuse me.
Thanks. They don't need you. You message Jade instead. Jade, can I stay with you?
Dave, of course! Oh, wait, maybe not? I might be somewhat drunk.
I really don't care.
It's just that I was out with Aradia trying to cheer her up, and we had a few drinks, and you don't, and I don't want to upset you.
Cool. I just saw a guy die. I don't care how off your face you are right now. As long as you can type, that's sober enough for me.
Wait, what? Dave, are you serious?
Vicari.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, I'm sobering up. Not that I was that bad, but yeah. Come over. God, are you okay?
I'm fine. I'll be there in a bit, okay? You get to her place like gravity itself pulled you there. For all you know, you slid across the floors, the ship's gravity rewired as you pinballed from floor to wall on your way. Your focus is stuck in that moment. It's not that your mind is dark or that it's gone to dark places. You're familiar with that, but it's the brightness. The light reflecting, burning bright off Vicari's suit. The totally white surface of his eyes after anything that you could call life had been burned away. There's bile in your throat, but you've been through too much space training to throw up. It's an urge they very much train out of you. No one wants that on a rocket launch. You're good. You're okay. You're...
Dave?
You blink. Jade is in the doorway of her hive, giving you a worried look.
You didn't ring the bell. The sensor said you'd been standing there for a while.
Jade says, her tone uneasy. Sorry, spaced out. You laugh weakly and smile even though you know it's unconvincing. Jade slides her arm around you and guides you into her hive. You kick off your boots again and fall onto the bed. Jade takes a seat on her desk chair and gives you a concerned, if slightly hazy look.
I'm so sorry. Do you want to talk about it?
Jade asks. What can I say? He didn't deserve that. It wasn't my fault. I did what I could. He's still dead. That's all I can say. You shrug. Jade frowns for a moment as she combs her fingers through her hair, separating out one section to glide her fingers through in particular.
Would you rather talk about something else to distract you, or do you just want to go to bed? She asks.
Tell me how your night was and get ready for bed at the same time? You suggest. Jade nods and flips her hair forward to gather it on top of her head.
I was out with Aradia, like I said. She seemed a little...
Jade sighs and flips back upright again, winding her hair around until she can grab a scrunchie and contain it.
She seemed really lonely, I think. She was saying how she missed Solix, which I can understand. If you've lived with someone for so long, then not living with them is strange, but the way she talked about it was like she'd been lonely for a long time,
Jade says sadly. I don't know how that can just happen, you say a little numbly as Jade walks past you to the bathroom. You go in there after her and go to unzip the back of her dress for her. Out of reflex, she moves to pull her hair away, but of course she's already tied it up.
I mean, I guess the hard thing is that when you're with someone, it's like you just assume you're a certain way and things slip and you focus on work instead and grow up and...
Jade trails off as her dress slips to the tiled floor. She turns around to look at you and reaches back to unhook her bra. In the spirit of being helpful, you pick up her dress for her.
I just tried to get her to have a good time, at least. Like you said, nothing I said could undo what she's been through, so there's no point agonizing about it. We talked about work, what we're excited for on the next planet,
Jade says in a voice that's a little brighter. She tosses you her bra and underwear, which you dump over the back of her desk chair and toss in the laundry respectively. The sound of the shower running fills the air, so you go back in there and watch her washing her face under the spray. You hope the mission will still go ahead without Vakari, but you don't know. They'll have to get someone to replace him, but you don't know who. Nepeta had considered your brothers at one point, but neither of them passed the physical for it. Roxy's been to space before, on a space station set up much like they're doing this time. She's already in the meetings. Maybe they'll try to rope her into doing more? You don't know. You don't think they'll clear her for planet-side, though, and with Somnos as it is, you don't know how helpful she would be remotely. What are you looking forward to? You ask her.
The plant life is pretty dull from what we've seen from Liberty's reports. I mean, ice planet, duh. The fauna is cooler, but we've not got the chance to see about taking samples to make a reasonable replicable stock for meat production, or even seeing if they're viable for us to eat.
Jade shrugs. You watch soap bubbles slide slickly down her back. It's better if you focus on details. You watch her fingers run over her skin and spread the soap lather around. Better to think of that than Vakari.
Obviously, what we're really hoping for is when we're drilling, we dig up remains of an ancient society. Stone tablets, buried bones, fossil record, the works.
Jade giggles as she turns around in the shower to face you. You're so smart, you say, because it's true. She really is.
Aw, babe.
Jade grins, a little sloppily drunk, but still lovingly. Maybe she's not that drunk. You don't think she is, but you're not really used to whatever Jade's tolerance is. You don't have a personal problem with alcohol like the others do, but your general experience with booze these days is either around people socially drinking, commiserating / celebrating something, or people taking the edge off. Seeing people absolutely shit-faced is more annoying than intimidating to you. Everyone deals with that shit differently. Your mom was a functioning alcoholic. Subatomic, string theory, relativity can sit there in a corner and cry kind of science were all done halfway through a bottle of something nearly medical grade. Your mom looking actually drunk was a sign that she was really far gone, and no one liked that. As far as your siblings are concerned, your mom was fine when she was sober or only slightly drunk, but was only mean when she was really drunk. The negative association makes sense. It's just not how you feel. It's easier to act like it is and go along with what the others think. You only drink around work people anyway, and even then, it's not like your mom used to. She probably still drinks like that, huh? Even if they don't let her have booze wherever she is, you bet she gets it. She made moonshine in your kitchen sink once. She'd manage it.
Dave?
Jade jars you back into the present. Probably shouldn't be thinking about your alcoholic mother when you're watching your girlfriend shower. That's another thing you're not bringing up to your mandated therapist. You've got to have one to prove that you're sane enough for missions. How the fuck Gamzee passes, you don't know. But you really don't want that discussion. Not that it'd even stop you from flying, it'd just make the doctor pity you and technically be airing mutual dirty laundry to one of Rose's colleagues. Sorry, I tuned out for a minute there, just thinking. It's rare, I know. You joke. It falls a little flat.
What were you thinking about?
She asks, cautiously watching for your reaction. Just about alcohol, about Mom, you say honestly, and Jade's face twists with guilt.
I'm sorry.
She starts. No, really, I'd rather be here. Plus, you didn't know all this was gonna happen. It's fine. My mind just wandered weird places. Look, I'll shower now you're out and we can sleep, you offer.
If you're sure,
Jade says gently and steps out of the shower to fully dry herself off. You shuck your own clothes quickly and step into the shower, washing without paying much attention. It feels better to be clean, to smell of her soap instead of the assorted scents of science and medicine. You're pretty averse to medical stuff, which would surprise people because of the whole eye thing and being a sailor. But you've got a nice workaround. Equus is a friend from school. He's Nepetta's Moirel for forever, and you trust the guy, so you don't mind being in his care because it's chill. When you have to get your regular pre-flight physicals, you can seek out your sister. Jane's not really supposed to treat family, but just checking that your blood is okay, that your blood pressure's cool, and putting you through a few machines isn't much. Beyond that, you avoid anything medical or science-y as much as you can. You're not a fan of having your reactions to everything carefully observed like a squeak beast in a maze. You're no fucking test subject or object of study in an investigation. Fuck that noise. No, you'd much rather be under the care of a friend, a family member, and at worst, an easily manipulated stranger. Your mandated therapist isn't hard to lie to. People, for some reason, forget that you and Rose have shared space your entire lives. You play the same instruments, think in similar ways, and you didn't share a hive and at several points a block with her when she was studying for her job without learning how to fake diagnostically normal. Great, your mind has gone to weird places again. Whatever. You smack the tap to stop the water, ignoring the little timer set into the wall to remind you how much you're using. You step out and scrub yourself dry, or dry enough at least. Jade always has some of your clothes that are good enough to sleep in stashed at her place, so you change and slip under the sheets with her. I love you, you say softly against her bare shoulder.
Love you too,
Jade says back and reaches over to stroke your damp hair with her fingers. It'll probably dry funny and you'll have to fix it tomorrow. That's a problem for tomorrow's you. The you right now is curled up around Jade in bed, sharing body heat and the emotional comfort of someone who's okay with the bits of you that aren't. End of chapter. How we feeling? Shit just happened. Ugh. Ugh. Things are popping off. Things are going to pop off. Yeah, it's kind of a... It's definitely a ramp up, like a very sudden boom. Shit just happened. What the fuck was that? Kind of moment, and it's great. Yeah. Yeah, this is very much... This is a fic with replay value. Take this, you say? Take this, you say?
Take this!
Take this. Yeah, it's... Things are gonna get very interesting from here. I promise. I promise. I'm definitely going to forget about the little scrolly thing every single time. I didn't know that it can do that. That would be convenient if in a different circumstance. Well, that's it for stream, methinks. Methinks that it is time to hit the old stop button. I'll be back on Thursday, as usual. Have a good night! Yeah, I hope everybody has a good, whatever time it is for you. And thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to show you what comes next.